Okay, so in this video, I'll show you how I instantly open folders using Keyboard Maestro, which is a macro automation tool for Mac. So I have Keyboard Maestro open here, and you'll notice I have a couple macros that are useful for opening different folders, such as the desktop and downloads folders. And here's what they look like. I have a hotkey mapped to them. So for instance, open downloads I can do by activating the hotkey of Option space, so that will bring the downloads folder to the front of the screen. I can do the same for other ones like the desktop with Option Shift space, or opening the trash like so. And I can also toggle between any open Finder windows with another shortcut of Control space. So here's what these shortcuts or macros look like. There's actually a couple ways of doing them, but I'll explain both. The first way of doing so is to have just one action that activates the Finder, and then you can activate or type a keystroke that will go to a certain folder. So Finder by default has a number of shortcuts that you can use to go to specific folders by going to a certain menu item. So for instance, going to the desktop can be done with Command-Shift-D. So if I'm in a random folder and I do Command-Shift-D, that will take me to the desktop. So essentially what this is doing is activating the Finder, then typing a keystroke to go to a specific folder. However, not all folders appear here, so you can actually set a custom directory or path to a folder that you want to open using this action, which is just the open a file, folder, or application, and then you can set your folder here using a path and have it open in Finder. So for instance, the trash does not appear in those default shortcuts, and I can create this custom hotkey to have it open. Now, another thing to consider is that you can do that for some of these macros as well, which do have existing shortcuts. Now, the functionality is slightly different in that if the downloads folder does not exist, so I'm going to close out my Finder windows, pressing this shortcut will open the downloads folder in a new window. However, if a Finder window is open which does not have the downloads folder, then activating this macro will open it in a new window. Whereas the way we had it before, this will just modify the front Finder window, taking you to the downloads folder as opposed to opening it up in a new window altogether. Lastly, we can take a look at the open Finder macro that toggles between existing windows. And like in a previous video where I showed you how to open apps and toggle between existing windows, we're going to have an if condition that says if the app, in this case the Finder, is at the front, then we're going to bring the next available window to the front. And there is a slight difference here, whereas before we just had window count. Mac actually counts the desktop as a window. So we're going to need to do window count -1 to skip that desktop and go to only open Finder directory windows. So that's what this macro looks like, and I will include a link in the description where you can download all of these macros and play around with them yourself. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more cool content, and I'll see you next time.